Who calls for the deposition usually pays for the deposition. Okay? Any questions about that chapter? Nothing? All right. Deposition reporting, things to consider. Objectives, describe in detail what a freelance office appointment book is and how it is used. Discuss the things that a freelance court reporter should be concerned with in preparation for a court reporting assignment. Discuss in detail what a freelance deposition worksheet is and how it is used. Explain what is meant by stipulations. Explain what is meant by usual stipulations. Explain what is meant by dictated stipulations. Describe stipulations are placed in the stipulations are placed in the transcript. Discuss the role of the notary public in a deposition setting. Verbally express a reporter's oath used at a deposition statement. Define what is meant by deposition parentheticals. Discuss objections during a deposition. What is meant by immediate certification. What is meant by the phrase certification after the fact. How to mark and handle deposition exhibits. And how to read back at a deposition. Freelance appointment book. Every freelance agency, large or small, has an appointment book. Real easy. So all they're going to do is call and say, hey, look, we want to schedule a deposition a week from today. Okay, so they have an appointment book. So they already know, coming up, hey, you know what, I want off on Friday. Well, let me check the appointment book. And there's 5 reporters that work at that agency. Well, you know what, we have 7 depositions scheduled that day. You may not be able to take off. Okay, well, it's work, so it's money, so it's good, but I'm not gonna be able to take off or whatever. Or you know what, what's a day that we have that looks kind of light? I wanna take off and go get my hair done, whatever, or whatever you wanna do. Okay, Wednesday's pretty light. We only have 1 deposition and there's 5 reporters, so, Wednesday's a good day. Okay, well, just sign me off the books. Okay. Preparation for reporting assignments. The reporter, whether official or freelance, is responsible for making sure that he or she is always ready. This means that the reporter should carry extra disk and other memory devices, 3 or 4 packs of paper, blah, blah, blah. You always need to dress comfortably, always look sharp, and don't look like you're going to the club. You know what I'm talking about? Always dress professional, okay? All of this is stuff that we've already pretty much covered. Do what?
I said, what? No hooker bills?
None of those.
I'm gonna start putting your yard sale there.
Yeah. Okay, like it says here, counsel will often ask you where you want to sit. That's the whole point of showing up early. You get to set up where you need to set up and kind of set the room as to where you want it to happen, okay? That's one of the good things about showing up early. If not, then they're gonna, some of the attorneys will try to tell you, hey, we need you to sit over here. Well, there's my plug. Oh, okay, then set up wherever. But if they're already set up and they have to move, that's the point of showing up early. The deposition worksheet. This chapter touched upon the worksheet and information sheets that needs to be filled out by the reporter before they begin a job. These items mention the court reporting worksheet. The different parts of the worksheet are the heading, appearance, exhibits, witnesses, local abbreviations, spelling of proper nouns, designation of counsel in court, special instructions, and number of copies to be invoiced. So usually they'll give you these, little worksheets or whatever, and you just kind of fill them out. And that's kind of what they look like on page 176.
So they print them out for you or you have them?
Usually the firms will have them for you, and they have certain stipulation sheets that, worksheets that you have, about, how it needs to be taken. Sometimes they'll have the oath on there already, on the worksheets. So, but, sometimes they'll give you just those cards, to have the different, well, I don't swear, I affirm. Oh, let me give you the affirmation, sworn thing or whatever. Or, what, I need to swear in the interpreter. How do I do that? Okay. How to report deposition stipulations. Stipulations are agreement among counsel and the court to certain things that occur at the beginning of a deposition. At the beginning of the deposition, when all parties to a litigation are gathered, the first thing that one attorney usually says to the other is usual stips, to which the opposing counsel may say, okay. Usual stips means usual stipulations. This phrase refers to the procedural ground rules that attorneys will follow in taking the deposition. These stipulations are included in the transcript. A simple, and it's a simple thing. A lot of times, the reporter is the one who asks. If they haven't said it already, then you need to ask them. Is this taken by the usual stipulations? Yeah. Okay. Some attorneys expect the reporter to know what the usual stipulations are. Others will want to dictate them into the record so that absolutely no question will arise about what the attorneys are agreeing to. If you do not know what usual stipulations are, ask that they be given. If the stipulations are dictated, they may be read from a sheet of paper by an attorney. If they are read into the record, be prepared to very quickly, because items read into the record are usually often at a very fast pace. If possible, get a copy of the paper that the attorney is reading from. Usual stipulations. Usually counsel for the respective parties will stipulate that written notice of taking the deposition was waived, especially if they have previously agreed to a time and place in taking the matter. They may also stipulate that notice of filing be waived, which means that the reporter does not have to notify the attorneys when the original is filed with the appropriate clerk. Common stipulation forms are shown. And that's what the stipulation page looks like.
So those things they listed about not needing, those things that were waived, that's not considered usual skips.
Where?
Chances are usual.
That the written notice of taking the deposition be waived if they previously agreed on the time and place of taking the matter, they may stipulate notice of filing being waived. So those aren't considered usual stipulations.
The usual stipulation is
This is it's waived. If you look at the sample page, it says all those things are being waived.
yeah.
What order does that go after the index and the appearance page before the actual transcript begins, or does it go
Yeah.
before the certification?
It's usually after the appearance page, and then the next page is usually the stipulation page.
After the next page, yeah, sorry.
Other usual stipulations are as follows. Objections are waived until the time of trial, except as to form of the question, the signature of the witness or the witnesses is waived, and the notice of taken and notice of filing are waived. So that's your usual stipulations. So really, I mean, they don't go into, well, I object to hearsay, or I object to blah, blah, blah. They can say, you know what, I object. And I object to hearsay, and then he has to answer the question. And then when they come to trial, then the court determines whether it was proper or not, whether it should have been read or not. Or they have that objections are waived until trial. So they can ask anything, and they don't object on the record. And it's like, you know what, I need to object to that at the time of trial. Okay? Dictated stipulations. The attorneys may dictate other stipulations to the reporter. If the attorneys do not discuss stipulations at the beginning of the deposition, and you have no opportunity to secure them at the outset, do not assume that they apply. Just inquire tactfully at the end of the taking of the matter whether any stipulations are to be included in the transcript. And that's one example right there at 25.5, that they'll dictate exactly what they want in. That it was taken at such time, it was taken at such place, blah, 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 and that the signature is gonna be waived. Okay, and they'll go on the record and do it. Any special instructions that the attorneys give to you are very important. Make sure that you understand them thoroughly so that you do not make an irrevocable mistake in producing the transcript. Okay? Where stipulations are placed in the transcript. Deposition stipulations are usually placed at the beginning of the transcript itself. In most freelance firms, the title page is the very first page of the transcript. This page is usually not numbered unless for some reason the computer software package allows for numbering. The appearance page that contains the names and address of the attorneys and who they represent is usually the second page. The index of the witnesses and exhibits may be found on the third page, and stipulations are placed before the body of the transcript. And that's what I just explained. Did you get that from what I said? Okay, so you have your usual pages, which is your title page, appearance page, witness page, then the stipulation page. And then the transcript begins. Okay? How to administer the oath. I've already told you guys about that. Okay? Stand up straight, raise your right hand, always look them in the eye, know exactly what you're going to say, even if it's reading it off the sheet that you have. Okay? Be prepared. Notary public. In some states, in order to administer the oath to a witness, one has to be a notary public. I think you have to be a notary public here. I know that I was. So I'm pretty sure you still have to be a notary public, okay, in order to administer the oath. So, a lot of times the firm that you go to work for, they paid it for me. They paid the notary fee for me for the 2 or 3 years I was with them, 2.5 years or whatever. So it's a good thing to have. But you got to keep that log book and all. So be careful with that. But yeah. And it's right there. Each notary public should keep a book of records of all acknowledgement of instructions taken before him or her and the fees collected for services rendered as a notary public. Yes. The notary is required to sign his or her name in the proper place on documents that he or she is attesting to and to print. And then you have that little stamp, that little notary stamp. Okay? Reporter's oath used at a deposition or statement. An example of a typical oath that a reporter would use in a deposition is, do you solemnly swear that the testimony that you are about to be that you are about to offer regarding this cause herein under consideration shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Whatever. I mean, get the gist of it. Keep it simple, is what I always did. And if the firm that you go to work for wants you to do a certain oath, then you do a certain oath. I mean, whatever. But, I mean, if not, then just keep it simple, okay? How to designate speakers and other types of examinations, we've covered this already too, okay? I'm not gonna, spend a whole lot of time on that. How to report deposition parentheticals, same thing. We've already covered this. Whereupon an off-the-record discussion was held, whereupon deposition exhibit was made, blah, blah, blah. How to report objections. The deposition reporter is responsible for getting a verbatim record of all objections that are made during a deposition, as well as a response and counter-response that may follow the initial objections. While most attorneys will waive all objections during a deposition, except as to form of a question, attorneys will still object to certain evidence being introduced during the proceeding. Refusal by a witness to answer a question based on the objection of his or her attorney may lead to what is called certifying the question. Okay? How to certify a question. The certification of a question usually takes place during a deposition or an examination before trial where no judge is present. Depositions are discovery proceedings whereby a witness is subpoenaed to appear before an attorney to answer questions under direct and cross-examination. The witness is under oath by a notary. The testimony that is given under oath can be used in a court of law at the time of trial. That is true. All of this is stuff that we've already covered. The deposition process usually begins with a recitation of stipulations that are agreed, true. During the testimony given at a deposition, an attorney will sometimes ask a question of a witness, and that witness's counsel will instruct his or her client not to answer the question. Such an instruction usually leads to an argument between the attorneys, eventually leading in a request for the reporter to certify the question or cite the question. When an attorney requests the reporter to certify the question, it means that the reporter will extract from the deposition by transcribing it on a certification page containing the venue, the name of the deponent, and the reporter, and the objectionable portion. This certification page will then be taken to the judge who has jurisdiction in the matter, and he or she will rule on whether the question has been answered. If the question has to be answered, the attorneys will gather everyone together and continue the deposition or to answer the questions that are required in certification. Okay? Y'all get that? There's an example right there on 181. Okay? And it looks just like that. Okay? Take a second to look at it. Do you understand it? So that thing is going to be extracted from the regular deposition. And it's just a certified question. Okay?
So what's put in the original deposition is just left
Yeah.
the same?
Yeah. And this thing is left in there too.
Okay.
Okay? But you're going to pull that out. So all you're going to do is mark it, copy it, and then paste it into a totally separate little binder. And then they take it to the court. Okay? Immediate certification. When one of the attorneys at a deposition refuses to continue the deposition until the question is answered, an immediate certification may be required. The certification is requested. The deposition will be concluded at the stipulation that it will be reconvened after the judge has ruled on the certified question. The reporter is responsible for producing a copy of the certified question and presenting it to the lawyers who will take it to the judge for a ruling. Guys, I've had it where we stopped the deposition and we drove down to the courthouse to get a ruling from a judge. And I had to take my notes and read the question from my notes. I don't think they're gonna do that anymore. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe they take your computer or whatever and it's like, well, this was the question or whatever. Okay. And when I get the freelance reporter to come speak, this may be one of the questions that you want to ask about certified questions. Okay? I'm glad y'all wrote that down so y'all can remember. Huh? Write that down on stuff to ask, because when they come, I mean, this is going to be stuff that we've already covered. Okay? So you can ask them questions about stuff. And, you know, the reporter that I get to come and speak, I don't want them to come for the 3 hours that we're here. Okay? So they may only be here an hour. Okay? But I want you guys to have all your questions ready so that you ask them exactly what they do. And like I said, I've been out of the game too long to know exactly everything about taking a deposition. So that's why I wanted to cover it first. This way we know exactly, we can discuss it a little bit, and then y'all can write down questions, and it's like, you know what, I want to ask about, you know, that certified question, and, you know, what about interrogatories, you know, taken by deposition, and, you know, do you have to be a notary to administer the oath, and how do you do the oath, and blah, 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 okay? And I'll let you know, it's going to be pretty soon. And if it's going to be, it may be within the next couple of weeks. I don't know about next week. Maybe next week. Maybe. All I'm saying is be prepared. Just like this book tells you, be prepared. All right?
Every time you say that, I hear the song Lion King in my.
What?
Every time you sing the Lion
I didn't see
You
Lion
Never seen
King.
the Lion King?
Uh-uh.
Oh my God.
What's
not
this
good.
whole-
Well, now we know what to get you
The
for
title of
Christmas,
the
right?
song is Be Prepared.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
There's a song, yeah.
I thought it was,
They're evil.
I thought it was
Evil hyenas and they're
Hakuna
singing about-
Matata.
Oh, my God.
Oh, that's later. That's after they kill.
I love those Hakuna Potatoes where you put the sour cream and the cheese. Oh, man. No, I don't know.
Oh,
I'm
you
just
lost me.
kidding.
So what? You have to watch that movie so you can see what we're talking about.
All right, certification after the fact. Ordinarily, certification of a question prepared during a deposition